Right, so the polls all point to a stonking great general election win for Team Keith, do they? Well, 3 recent by-elections show those numbers might not be worth the paper they're written on, as Labour only succeeded in winning 1 out of 3, didn't they? The notable loss was, of course, the Uxbridge by-election, which Labour were widely expected to take. That was their favourite one. It was their most nailed-on opportunity, we were told. And they fell short. Now, as much as Starmer and Co have blamed Sadiq Khan for that and ULEZ for this loss, a somewhat underreported comment by Labour right-winger John McTernan may get to the crux of the real issue in the Labour Party right now, and that actually they're acknowledging what it actually is. Now, I've spoken about McTernan before. He still regales himself as a political strategist, but his strategicness, as regular viewers will know when I've spoken about him, extends to seeing Labour basically being driven out of Scotland at the 2015 general election, such as the scale of the loss there, and then going to Australia with his strategicness and helping the Australian Labour Party leader, Julia Gillard, to lose as well. Well, he's an old-school Blairite, and his politics are firmly rooted in the belief that the Blair contrite can be pulled off again. This is a guy who said of Starmer's leadership that the Labour Party is a safe place for Thatcherites to return to. I mean, if anything should put the left right off the party, it's a comment like that. Put Labour parties of all colours off the party, it is a comment like that. And functionally, it tells you all about the politics of the party today as it was back in Blair's day. They were back to that same kind of failed, waste of time politics once more. But McTernan has all of a sudden stopped the gloating, stopped the goading of the left with idiotic comments such as that, and is now striking a more contrite tone, a more placating tone even. But again, we've seen this before. McTernan has written a piece in the pink pages of the Financial Times, saying to win, Starmer needs to make peace with the left. Now, I know, I laughed too, but calm yourselves down, pause the video if needs be, regain your composure, and I'll carry on. McTernan has, it can only be assumed off the back of those by-election results, concluded that the deal has not yet been sealed with voters, that Starmer is the one to back. Well, I can't possibly imagine why. He's had more policy changes, broken pledges and flip-floppery than he's had hot dinners. Why can people not trust him? I cannot think. Why do people not know what he stands for? I just don't know. Why do people struggle to be convinced by him? It's beyond my ken. Now, to some extent, McTernan acknowledges this. The real retail offer, as he puts it, must be put to the electorate this autumn at the party conference. It is quite conceivably the last party conference there will be before the general election. Not a certainty, of course, given the weakness and cowardice of Rishi Sunak, but leaving policy to next year would be a gamble, and of course would leave very little time to campaign on said policies anyway. So will Starmer finally now commit to actual policy that he means to keep, actually keep it, and more to the point, will we care when it's likely going to be a depressing litany of tory-litism? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Only a couple of months to go, after all. The main crux of the McTernan piece, though, is that Starmer needs to reach across the aisle whilst developing the policies that we included. That reach across the aisle is a phrase, isn't it? This is the phrase that basically means to compromise on different ideologies to find a way forward, particularly popular in America. And when you hear that phrase, particularly in politics, it generally means both sides of the House or whatever institution working together to find a way forward, opposing parties cooperating on a given issue. Now, you might read from that Starmer working with the Tories. Well, he basically is one anyway. He keeps agreeing with them. What's new, Damo? It's all he's ever done. But it's not the Tories that are the opposing ideology McTernan is getting at, Starmer working with, of course, but the left of their own party. I mean, this is supposed to all be one party, of course. That McTernan refers to the left as being across the aisle is typical Blairite. The left are alien creatures to these people. The actual Social Democrats of the Social Democratic Party. The right are red Tories who, instead of forming their own Tory-like party, took over the party of the working class instead. A Tory project, as it was, to preserve the status quo, ensuring no matter who gets elected, Labour or Tories, under the thin veil that passes with democracy in this country, the interests of the establishment would be preserved either way. This is why Tony Blair was called by Margaret Thatcher her greatest achievement. He heralded the destruction of what the Labour Party was supposed to be, and outside of the Corbyn era, where the left fought back, it has remained the same ever since. A safe place for Thatcherites, as McTernan said, after all. But where Blair had the mass media on his side, the only source of news any of us really had back in the late 90s, Starmer has to contend with social media, independent and alternative news sources, and a level of scrutiny in the public eye that Blair never had. Therefore, what Blair did back in the day won't work for Starmer, and McTernan seems to have clicked. With the media machine behind him, Blair could always indulge his right-wing ways. He binned Clause 4, of course, which committed Labour to common ownership because he was pro-privatisation and continued with it, red Toryism. He had enough sense, though, that he couldn't go all out attacking the left of his party, though, so little bits and pieces were thrown in, little sweeteners, things like tax credits, Sure Start, things that really did actually benefit people, all whilst he went on wars and dumped PFI loans on the NHS and all manner of other horrible Tory-style policy that he also oversaw. Starmer has gone so much further in his mentality and his mendaciousness as Labour leader, though. Blair drove members away despite his sweeteners here and there. People saw through it over a longer period of time. And the same has been happening now, but a lot more quickly. Labour's lost some 25% of its membership since Starmer became leader. That's some 133,000 members, and is now apparently losing 10,000 more members every month. It is hemorrhaging support, losing funding via membership fees, and he's not even in power yet. So when McTernan talks of reaching across the aisle, it's to stem the losses. McTernan is saying in his piece that Starmer now, instead of attacking the left further, now needs to embrace them and shape policy with them. Though still couldn't resist a swipe at Corbyn as he did so in his piece, saying Corbyn often asked the right questions, even if he came up with the wrong answers. Well, for those of us who didn't think those answers were wrong, what exactly do you want out of the left now then, if you think what we believed in then and still believe in now by and large, fighting for climate change, fighting to oppose it, ending homelessness, taxing the rich, it's wrong? Because quite simply, if we came to the table and set these out, you'd likely laugh and tell us we're still wrong and not actually engage with us anyway. Functionally, though, it's all too late. Starmer's had many chances throughout his tenure to engage with the left, and instead he's attacked us, accused us of being racist, driven us from the party in disgust, or thrown us out on the most pathetic of reasons. Those left in the party are blocked from standing for political posts. He ensured Corbyn, who grew the membership, was suspended and is now unique amongst all Labour members in this country, and that he, and he alone, is barred from standing as an MP candidate. You think the left are prepared to engage with Starmer now? You think that arrogant, self-serving, pasty-faced, Brill-green balloon of a man is someone we honestly believe would engage with us willingly and meaningfully in discussions and negotiations around policy to the point we'd come back and support him? No! How dare you even ask? All that has happened is that suddenly you, John McTernan, have realised who the activists were, who the campaigners were, who the leaflet droppers and door knockers were, who were the people having conversations in the street, who were the people giving up their free time willingly to promote a cause they believed in. Well, we've gone. You drove us away. You told us you didn't want us. You insulted us and despised us. And now you think some sweetly spoken words of conciliation are going to have us come back? No chance. We're now Greens, we're now Tusk, we're now Breakthrough. The new political movement Transform, which launched last week, is inarguably, I feel, an entity born out of the disgust people have for Keir Starmer and what he has done to the Labour Party, having stood on a platform to do the exact opposite of what he's actually done. We're now supporting and campaigning for independents such as Jamie Driscoll and other independent candidates that may stand or be standing in the future. We're backing socialists you spurn because they offend you so. But you have offended us, and we are no longer interested in whatever you put up on offer, whatever you say the party will stand for, because frankly, none of us will ever trust Keir Starmer on a word he says as long as we live. You can't engage with what you've already lost. All that has happened is that recent results have told you that by arrogantly disposing of your most active supporters on the basis that they're rotten lefties and use the most depraved mechanisms by which to do so available to you, racism, bullying, intimidation, breaking the rules to suit yourselves, you can no longer guarantee a general election victory in spite of these polling numbers. Instead of appealing to those who should be your supporters, you've become utterly toxic to them. And to that I say good, because I don't want any Tory in power, whatever colour rosette they happen to wear. So you take your Thatcherites and shove it. You and the rest of the Starmerites have made your bed, now you can lie in it. Those of us who want to change are campaigning elsewhere now, and our votes have gone with us. You aren't getting them back. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Meanwhile, here's a bid recommendation for you, where Starmer's common ground with Margaret Thatcher has even gone so far as denying kids nutrition, as Thatcher the milk snatcher has been joined by Starmer the kid starver. And I'll hopefully see you on the next bid. Cheers, folks.